Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start this officially now. The recording is going, so good morning from Las Vegas, where I'm at. Good evening to everyone attending from different parts of the world. I am Joshi Sutherland, former community lead turned marketing manager for 2023, a bit of a shift in roles and focus, but I'm happy to continue hosting all of our AMAs, Twitch streams, Twitter spaces, anything that I can to continue to interact with our lovely interactive international community. So even more people filing in here now. I appreciate everyone taking their time to come join us. And of course, you're here for a reason. We've got a lot of the founders and executive team here to speak with today about the past, present, and future of DuskBreakers. We only have 1 hour allotted, so in the interest of time, we have gathered a bunch of questions ahead of time from the AMA chat channel on our Discord. You can go over there right now and leave more questions and discussion for us to look at throughout the show. And we've got the best team members to address the different topics that were brought up by everybody. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and give a quick introduction. Kevin Lin, our CEO, is here with us. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year.
We have David Barthwell, our Chief Design Officer.
Hey, everybody. Happy to be here.
JT Gleason is our CTO, which I believe is Technology Officer.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here.
And Kristin Chen is our Chief Product Officer. So lots of chiefs. Good morning, Kristin.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Excited. I'm very, very excited for our first community AMA of the year today.
Awesome. So star-studded team. Steve is up here on the stage as well. We may cut to him, so we'll go ahead and introduce him now. Steve, why don't you go ahead and say your name and title for everyone.
Hey everybody, my name is Steve. I'm the head of game development at Metatheory.
So Steve is scheduled for tomorrow's AMA, but he was able to make both of them, so we figured might as well bring him on in case we've got some pointed questions for him. So thank you very much, Steve, for making both shows as well. All right. Very first thing we're going to start with is a retrospective of 21 and 22. Last year, obviously, was our first full year of operation as Metatheory and DuskBreakers. We had a lot of product launches, including games like Beast Battler, Twilight Shift, launcher technology, generative technology was developed. We tackled things like comics and visual novels and a second collection of Gribbles and everything that came with the experience. Obviously, a lot of those things were planned from inception, founded in late 2021 by Kevin and others here. But over the course of 2022, Kevin, I'll start with you in this retrospective and ask, what do you think are the most significant things that DuskBreakers and Metatheory produced last year, and what might have been the biggest changes in plans last year?
Yeah, okay. I'll kick it off. I mean, yeah, thanks again for everybody tuning in. Big update today, so excited to share with everyone here. I'd say, 2021, we launched our collection in late 2021, December, leaning into what was sort of the prevalent meta at the time of PFPs. And we wanted to create this sci-fi universe that Dave concepted around this, this story about the future, where we sort of failed at saving Earth, and this alien spaceship shows up out of nowhere, and we're not really sure why, but it's full of Earth-saving materials, life-saving technology, and sort of building upon that relationship between Earth and its new neighbor. And so we launched our Genesis Breakers in December with a play-to-mint process, which I'll talk about in a bit as a recap. But we wanted to, create a cool sci-fi anime-inspired collection that Gears, our resident artist, drew entirely by himself. We nearly killed the guy, but he got it done in a very tight timeline. And in about a 2-month process, got out both the collection and also a full playable browser game that we now refer to as the Battle Sim. And that Battle Sim was sort of a reference to Breakers. Breakers are the workers that are hired by Dusk Tech to mine the ship, to risk their lives every day to go all the way up the space elevator to the Dusk to defend themselves and mine for materials to bring back to Earth that we then utilize in everyday life. And so with that came this play-to-make game, the Battle Sim. We built very quickly. JT, our CTO, and our Texas team built a game in about 8 weeks, really 6 weeks, and then 2 weeks of testing and a little bit of polish, a little bit of art polish, as a sort of two-pronged thing. On the one hand, a proof to the audience that we were builders, that we could build games, that we will be building games, and we have continued to do so, and also to combat bots and make sure that we had as much sort of fairness in the process as possible at the time. And so we thought that was pretty innovative. It was super fun. We got great feedback from the audience, thousands of people playing the game, and sort of giving us great thoughts on where they saw the game going and where they see our universe going. And most importantly, we learned a lot about what it means to build an ownership community. What does it mean to have folks who essentially kickstart a project before much is even built, based on team, story, and just sort of a promise of building things that will bring utility. And since then, we've expanded that utility thought into something I'll describe in a little bit. But then, we did a lot of work just to get that done. And then from there, per feedback, we built an iteration of the Battle Sim called Beast Battler. A lot of folks said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you had a boss mode? And so we built a boss mode in about a month after that, after the holidays, released that as another fun, just sort of play leaderboard driven, repeatable game, like an arcade game. And as part of that mint too, I should mention, we were very obsessed with provable fairness, provable randomness. We iterated on that and have lots of good technology there, so that anything that we do in the future is fair and equitable for anyone who plays our games. And then of course a ton of world building. The writers team has been active now for a very long time, since the beginning of time, in expanding our universe, expanding our lore, and thinking about a interactive storytelling system, which Dave will describe a bit later, as to how we're going to build the world, how we will build sort of a foundation that our audience, our fans, our champions, as we now call them, will expand upon and help direct. And so we think that's really, really cool. From there, we launched another our second set of NFTs, what we call the OG Gribbles, the original Gribble set, as a egg hatching experience. The eggs evolved through actions. You read things, you completed missions, you played our visual novel, and you played our new game, which is a massively updated game called Twilight Shift. That was the seed of what we're building upon now, which we'll discuss a bit later as well. But that was a full PC game via a launcher that we've also built in-house, that was also a play-to-mint process for the Gribble eggs. Of course, we granted Gribble eggs for any DuskBreakers OG holders, the Genesis holders. The Genesis NFTs are really the keys to the DuskBreaker kingdom, so all things that follow will really flow from there. And so we launched that game as again, graphically updated, updated combat system, updated sort of shooter-looter mining system, and that was built by our Texas team and our new Taiwan team that came on board early 2022, and they built that in a very short amount of time as well, just a matter of months to get that game out. And so we've been really just honing our process, honing our ability to build as quickly as possible in a very fast-moving environment. But yeah, very excited about it all. I mean, the story's coming together with the game. It's all starting to make a lot of sense. And so you'll see when we launch the next game coming up in the very near future, this sort of interactive, story-driven gameplay that is very deep in terms of lore, but very flexible in terms of narrative. Both character narrative and sort of higher level narrative as to where this story is really going. Where do we as a group, as an entire set of breakers, not just us as a team internally here at Metatheory, can take the story. So we've been very excited about that, and we built a ton of cool stuff in that process. We built Dave, Nelson, Jonas, and team built generative art tool, 3D art tool. This was really before we started working on this, well before Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and a lot of those tools came out as an internal tool that we realized we would need if we wanted to do things like breeding and mutations over time. We needed something that could do texturing and painting and sculpting on top of any 3D asset, any 3D game asset. And so what you see now with the Gribbles, that same technology will be used for future items, weapons, armors, other upgrades, so that everything is unique and there's sort of rarity-driven collection. So super excited that we decided to make a bet on that tool. We built a ton of Web3 tools with Kristin joining as our CPO, has really brought some operational excellence to our product development process along with JT and team, and we've built a lot of great platform level tech. And so that's everything from what you see in the gallery to card revealing or sort of just general loot revealing, all the way to just this management system around OmniGrow and your NFTs that are now on our website, and many more things. Visual novel as a tool also for storytelling, but also a voting mechanism essentially as part of that storytelling process I mentioned. And so we built a ton of stuff, and we're really excited that we feel really like a well-honed factory now. We can get games out, we can get content out, we'll get our story out, and the building will start to really accelerate this year.
Nice. And I'll use that as a segue to JT and ask maybe a little bit of a combo question. Last year, obviously, we were building a lot of these things for the first time, and as Chief Technology Officer, you were tasked with things like the game launcher and this generative tech that Kevin is talking about, other tools and operations along the way. JT, what do you think was either the biggest breakthrough we had or challenge that we had technologically last year? The launcher comes to mind, of course, as a focal point there, but yeah, take it away.
Yeah, no problem. I think all of the stuff that we've done have been great breakthroughs. Like we've created a unique platform that is entirely custom built that creates and launches experiences. Experiences can be games, but they can also be things on our website, like the webcomic or the interactive story. There's a bunch of systems in the back end to play games, get points, have points flow into our systems, and then use that to interact with objects on the blockchain. So a few examples of this would be Playtiment in general. And this was a big bet for us, putting our game out before we've released collections to show that we're builders and that we want, and we're game creators, and we want to have the community really just dive into our experiences and truly believe in those experiences. So like those all of that plumbing and wiring. Putting that all together in a way that made sense and that works. We have our collections that we've launched. The Gribble collection had a lot of unique features around. You would get a Gribble egg, you'd play with a Gribble egg, you'd level up the Gribble egg, and that actually affected the rarity and created some cool technology off of a couple different blockchains to make all of that work out correctly. So that was some awesome breakthroughs and some ways that we are continuing to innovate. We had our game launcher that we did in 2021, late 2021. And then worked some throughout the course of the year on just enhancing that, adding additional games so that you can play all different versions of the game through the launcher on PC. We also did some work on the Mac build of it. The initial goal was to try to get the Mac version out before the egg experience, but we couldn't craft a launcher that worked cleanly on Mac 100% of the time. So we've been continuing to work on that, and it's still a goal, and it is a goal that I'm super excited about this year, getting out something for Mac. But you know, it's a if you're talking about challenges as you asked for, that is something that we're excited to tackle this year. But we have all the core tech from that actually built, and right now it's about polishing it into like a launchable and releasable thing. And so on the tech side, I feel really great about all the super hard work that the team put in, and the long hours. Launching products, especially game products, is challenging. There's many different systems, from web systems, front end systems, back end systems, game compilation, code signing, and a lot more. And that's just tough enough. But then there's also, interacting in a safe and provably fair way on the blockchain. And then we added that on top of it. So it's I couldn't be more proud of the team and everything that they've done, and we're excited to just continue that rapid clip pace and get lots of great things out to the community.
I'll say that definitely, as a layman, someone not super familiar with all the technology that goes into it, I'm very impressed with the things that we see internally. I think that last year maybe we didn't do the best job at spotlighting all the cool, innovative technology things that Metatheory is working on, partially because we're still being developed, but final products will change greatly from conception to finish. We didn't quite get the Mac launcher, as you mentioned, could come this year, but I think we want to do a better job this year highlighting our tech and our team there, because you guys are actually crazy, and I'm constantly impressed with the stuff that I see, because I would have never thought of it most of the time. So very cool stuff. Thank you, JT. That's pretty much it for our retrospective, just in the interest of time, as this is the AMA. I know you're all here to learn about what's coming up, and that's why we did kind of pre-build the front of the show with a bit of recap, allow some people to get in here and hear the answers for all the questions that you've asked specifically to our team members. And we're going to start kicking off with a couple of questions kind of combined here from Boss Bjorny, who I do see in the audience. Welcome. And Bro, this one's pointed toward David, again, our Chief Design Officer. You had a quote. You were speaking in Discord a couple of weeks ago, part of your New Year's resolution to come be more interactive with Discord. Very much appreciated. You said that we want to take a pretty innovative approach to storytelling with in-game actions playing off of a grand narrative. And that is a bit of a tease toward what the products we have coming out later this year. So, Dave, would you like to go ahead and expand on what you mean by the innovative approach to storytelling?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. Okay, so I think first and foremost, we all want DuskBreakers to feel like a living transmedia world. It's a lovingly detailed world. It's got a strong science backbone, some really fun world mechanics on top of that. And I mean, personally, I've always loved deeply immersive IP worlds. To me, like, the fun part of that is reading the lore and getting lost in how it all works together. So fundamentally, we want to create fertile ground in which all of our holders, whether it's a breaker or a gribble or anything, can explore their creativity, create value for themselves, immerse and express themselves. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Through storytelling. So stories are most interesting when you have an emotional connection to the characters in that story. You have to care for their progress. You have to care for their growth. That's why there's the classic hero's journey. It's the experience of that hero that allows you to enter the world and to experience alongside them their wonder or their frustration, their fears, and cognitively project yourself into that sub-created world. And given that, I'm going to say something a little controversial. It's really hard to tell a structured story like, say, Star Wars or Dune with a cast of 10,000 fully fleshed characters. That's really hard to do. And at this stage, we can't rely on ourselves to tell the stories of each of our breakers and their gribbles, right? But we can work with you all to tell those stories. And we can build tools that help you tell those stories and to allow those stories to feel of consequence. That's really important to us. So that being said, here's a bit of a map to how we're approaching storytelling. First, we're creating this detailed world, consistent rules, and fun is baked in at the core. After that, we create some quality content and art that establishes a baseline for how the world works. And on top of that, we create some compelling characters, and those characters hold your hand and introduce you to that world through their eyes. After that, we're going to progressively reveal this high-level story arc with hinge points, sort of points where the story can be shifted, that allow the story to progress in different directions based on community interaction. So the world, the real world, IRL, it's not built on rails. The story can shift in different directions based on the actions of one or the few or the many, but it's in the retelling of that story of the world and looking back at history, does it all seem linear? So we want to sort of emulate that, how the real world functions in our story world. And then the interesting part is, having set all of those pieces up carefully, we want to give you, our audience, some interesting immersive ways to make decisions and push the arc. We're particularly interested in collaborative decision making via actions versus like simple voting. For example, I think it's more interesting to change the world of DuskBreakers based on how often all of our players give the power crystal to Adrian or keep it for themselves, versus clicking on a button to vote. And sometimes you know you're making a big choice, and sometimes you're unaware, but it's a result of your actions, and that's role play. It's play. And so this is how all of you can tell your own stories, by creating a history of action that we can all look back on. And blockchain helps us do that. It helps us record a verifiable history and check it. And so our characters and the world will react to those choices, because everyone has their own motivations, including our characters, that either align or differ from yours, and then you can react to those characters and feel that alignment or enmity. You can feel that inside. So hopefully that explains some of our higher level thinking. There'll be more details forthcoming, particularly in our next AMA with Bernie, and I'm sure he'll speak a lot more to this.
Nice, thank you for that. And Kristin, this is an opportunity to also point out that as the Chief Product Officer right now, we have transitioned things around. I was community lead, moving toward marketing manager. Kristin, you're now, at the moment, leading some community efforts. We are still hiring some things as well, but community can get involved with this grand storytelling as well, right?
Yes, we also, I know, I think it was either Boss Bernie or Bro, one of you had asked a great question. What is the impact holders will have on Story and Universe? And I think this ties in really well to what Joshi just mentioned regarding community. So one exciting changes here is that community is now under the product org at MetaTheory, and we are hiring for a community lead in. Oh, sorry, I realized John Doe asked the question, how much impact will holders have on the Story universe? So thank you, John Doe. But as part of the community efforts, one thing we're very excited about that I'm passionate about, when I was building in Web 2, I was always trying to think about how we can build not just for, but with the community. But in Web 3, we're very excited about building in public and being very transparent. And so we've been brainstorming a lot more ways for different holders in the community to get involved in some of the things that we're thinking about at the company. So we have a couple fun, I don't want to spoil too much, but we have a couple fun kind of experiments with this planned going forward.
Excellent. So yeah, this is exciting to me. Obviously, that's part of why most of us are here, I think, as holders, is to be able to contribute as outsiders, you know, as holders, not necessarily team member at MetaTheory, even though I did join and Style Piggy joined and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm excited to have impact on story through gameplay and through community activities. So thank you both, David and Kristin, for those answers. We're gonna jump topic a little bit, just push forward a bit. Game updates, obviously these questions are top of mind for everyone, so I'll just be a little blunt here and say that last year we did have some dates slide around, some there is no Gribble game, quote unquote, yet, despite launching the second collection in August. So things have been changing greatly with our game team over the last year. We have done a lot of hiring. Steve is here now to help right the ship. Kevin, of course, still has high level goals and objectives. So we are trying to get to all those things. But the questions coming from the community, you guys, Boss Bjorny, John Doe, Artyom, Zaga, etc., asking things like, can we say what the game will look like? What genre will it be? Will it be AAA roguelite? Asking very specific questions. And then some questions, like from Zaga, are how many games or mini-games are being developed? My understanding is that the upcoming expanded Twilight Shift game, a Gribble mini-game, and then the later big game. Is this correct? So it seems like there's just a lot of confusion right now. This is our best opportunity to clarify a little bit and get the community back on the same page. So I guess I'll start with Kevin. The main question is, what is the game that people are waiting for now? Is it this expanded Twilight Shift that has been teased now, or is it still more down the line? And then Steven can expand on that after.
No, thanks for setting the stage there. Yes, I mean, we are having to react to a very volatile and ever-changing fluid environment that is Web3 gaming. So we had to make some hard decisions. We made a good amount of progress on a Gribble racing game, as we had discussed and teased last year, but decided to table that for now as our hypothesis on what we should build in terms of what are we doing with blockchain? How are we leaning into that? Is it NFTs? Are we going to do a token? We've decided to really lean into collectability first as an initial user experience. That's a very powerful change in itself in gaming. We're now sanctioned by the game company, so to speak, versus the past where that was a lot of gray area. If you were trading WoW Gold, if you were trading, user accounts in a variety of games, if you were selling skins, that was often in a gray market and generally against terms of service for most game companies. So this is really embracing that behavior, which has been part of gaming, really since free-to-play games and even before that. Any games with items and collectibles came to be. And so we're really leaning into that first. And we are going to be doubling down on Twilight Shift. We got a lot of great feedback about the game, a lot of great ideas on where the game could go. And so that will be turning into a roguelike game that Steve and team are working on. And so that'll be a new version of Twilight Shift with significant upgrades to the systems, the progression, and of course the art and sound design and everything. We want to make it feel like an amazing game, and the seed upon which we can build both additional gameplay and also our story world. I'll pass it over to Steve just to expand on that.
Yeah, thanks, Kev. You hit a lot of the points that I would have emphasized as well. I think the way that I would kind of answer that set of questions is really that DuskBreakers it's not a single game experience. We don't look at it as there will be a DuskBreakers flagship game per se. It's a universe, and just like other franchises out there, there's a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different experiences in that universe. So right now, Twilight Shift is our where we have the most momentum, and we have a really cool update that really expands on things like our combat system there, how the levels are designed to make it a much more robust roguelike game, and even approaching some ARPG elements. But we're really excited about that as kind of the bigger update that we're expecting later this year. But in general, I think the thing that's exciting to me is just the size of the DuskBreakers universe and how we can kind of play around with that and explore different aspects of it through different experiences. So this year we are, along with Twilight Shift, Dave mentioned an update kind of to our visual novel experience, which will be a much deeper, more immersive experience, which I'm pretty excited about. It'll help us expand our kind of what we can do with our story and narrative, and also drive kind of the interactive choices that folks make and start kind of building out their breakers that and building out the history there. So these I think in general the thing though that would be the through line in all those experiences are our breakers and gribbles. As Kev mentioned, we are our collections are really important to us, and breakers and gribbles being the Genesis collections that we've launched, those are going to be really important in all of these experiences, and that's going to be a through line that I think folks will find their kind of ownership and being a holder being very important in this universe.
Excellent. So it sounds like the community can expect to utilize both collections in not only the upgraded Twilight Shift next experience that we're teasing a bit here, but also just throughout any mini games or games that we produce down the line. So I think the door is open as far as genres that you might see. We are a fast-moving creative team, so something could pop up next week that we can put resources behind if it's fun. So I do appreciate those answers. Thank you, Kevin and Stephen. In the same vein, we changed game direction somewhat last year, and also from December 2021, when the initial Breakers collection came out, I would wager that many of the first buyers had games like Axie Infinity or Zed Run, other NFT games in mind as potential investment here into DuskBreakers, or just as a game that you can play and potentially make some money at the same time. And a large part of that, of course, is focused around token economies. So we've got questions from some of our longer time community members around our thinking on tokens from Investit, John Doe, and Artyom. This one's directed at Kevin and JT. I'll also pull up one of our team members, Sam, here, just waiting in the wings in case he gets called upon. But what is our current thinking on a DuskBreakers exclusive token, something that was mentioned a year ago, that is now pretty much no longer a focus for us? Kevin, go ahead and start there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we were doing all the research and planning and sort of hypothesizing around what a token might look like for our games. Again, Gribble Racing was one of the initial games we were concepting that for. And, to be frank, we just didn't feel like the game was really deep enough yet. It didn't feel like it was a full-blown game. And, of course, a lot of the stuff out there were simple games. They were almost just button-pushing games. Some arcade game light, I should say, games that had launched tokens, but it didn't feel real to us. It didn't feel sustainable. It didn't feel like there was a real economy being built yet. And so we went back to the drawing board, and just as we started to do that, basically the meltdown happened, and a lot of what we thought were really thin economies came true, sadly, and harmed a lot of people. And that is one thing we constantly discuss anytime we talk about tokens or NFTs: is how do we ensure we build something that is long-term sustainable. And a lot of people say that, we really do believe that. We really do want to build that, and something that would support DuskBreakers as a universe long into the future, where, things like play to earn, play to own, that's all just lingo. The point is, collectibles is a core part of the economy. And so again, we're leaning into that first. A token, when we feel like the game is robust enough, as in, for example, games like RuneScape, games like WoW, a lot of MMOs, there's a lot of roles that you play, and there's a lot of different, pseudo grinding mechanisms that people become really skilled at, and they decide to spend their time there. And so, is that what it takes to get a real economy going? We sort of think so, and so that's one of the general assumptions we're going off of is, you really need to have sort of skill and labor, in a sense, work that outputs something of value. And the better you are at it, the faster you can go, and the faster you can create value for the rest of the economy, for the other people who don't want to do that thing, or who are just not as good as you at doing that thing. Of course, there's a little bit of luck component to that in the randomization of loot that you'll get as you play through the game. I should emphasize that we are also philosophically aligned on free to play. We want everyone to be able to get into our games, although Genesis Breakers, OG Gribbles, and so on will get benefits not only in game but outside of game. But yes, that is really our thinking, and so we do want to launch a token. We think that is a really exciting addition to the collection mechanic, sort of the official sanctioned collection mechanic that blockchain promises. But we want to be very careful about that. And in this environment, and the environment has been this way now, for the last 6-7 months, we want to be careful and thoughtful and really take the learnings from those that came before us. And the great news is a lot of them, a lot of these folks are very willing to share. They don't feel good about what happened, but they took a lot of learnings away from what are essentially the early experiments in the space. And so we do want to tackle this, but we want to be careful about it. We want to be methodical and thoughtful about it. So folks like Sam, JT, the whole team here, really, it's a topic of discussion on a very regular basis for us.
Yeah.
But it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
100% on that. I think, I think there were some questions around, like, what blockchain, like, how would it work technically, and those are, details that we're still evaluating and figuring out. I think there's, from my point of view, well, three main components. One, the stuff that Kevin talked about. Let's make sure that we launch the right system where everything works together and there's interoperability between all of our various pieces, be that game pieces, be that on-platform web pieces, and be that basically blockchain related pieces. So whatever technologies we choose would have to fit there. The other side is, like, what does the blockchain offer as a technical platform? We want to continue to innovate on these things. So releasing a token that doesn't have enough innovative features and doesn't really showcase the awesomeness of the Web3 space and the blockchain space is something that we definitely don't want to do. We want to make sure that we're innovating, on the platform, showing, one of our central theses of the company as a whole is, like, what sort of amazing experiences can blockchain offer that maybe weren't possible in a non-blockchain world, and we're big believers in that, and we want to make sure that that's highlighted and showcased front and center. And then the final piece of that, the third piece, would be what are the economics of said chain, right? Like, how much does it cost the users to interact with it? How much does it cost the players and the gamers in our community to touch on these things? And we want to make sure that that cost is low so that the value flows directly to the community. And so, as Kevin was mentioning, we don't have any, like, hard plans of, oh, this is the date and this is the system that we're going to launch with a token, because in my mind, and from talking to everybody in the company, everyone else's mind is, like, we want to release the right thing at the right time that has all the systems in it, so that everybody can have fun. I think you can see, like, some of our thinking, on a very broad scale, not 100% directly blockchain related with respect to OmniGrow, but, like, ultimately, like, we'll be continuing to iterate on these ideas and ensure that we're launching the right thing.
All right, so yeah, I'll jump in here. Hey everyone, I'm Sam. I'm a blockchain engineer here. I'm not sure there's too much to add on top of what Kevin and JT just said, but I will definitely stress that internally, this is a really important thing for us to get right. I've been very appreciative of the fact that the team has been so thoughtful in this process. I think I'm approaching about 6 months here. So right from the beginning, I was able to, review conversations around this and see that, that we're really thinking about this the right way, and, wanting to approach things just in a way that feel good for everybody. And I think there will be a really natural transition that into, having a token in the ecosystem when the time is right. And we're just making sure that in everything that we're building out, our foundation is strong, and we're not just releasing things to release things because either other teams did it, or, it might be an easy way to, just add to the overall economy. Like, we really want to make sure everything fits in well together. And, for me personally, I really try to pay attention to so many different things in the space. I've been very active in the space for almost 5 years now. I've seen so many different types of games pop up, different NFT projects, different, tokenomics approaches. I've seen, different ways that even really good games or projects just shot themselves in the foot with how they distributed a token. And, there's just so many micro decisions that go into the larger decision of how a token like this works, that it's just not something that we are at all interested in rushing. So, I will say just a lot of the brainstorming and ideas and things that we're coming up with are very exciting to me, just, based on all the things that I've seen in the years leading up to this. I think we are in a very unique position to create something special with everything that we're building. There's so much talent on the team. I think our story world is actually going to be a really game-changing thing in the space with what we're putting together, and tying in all these technical pieces is a huge challenge. There's not a clear rule book or guidebook for how to do these things. We realize that if this ends up working out, it meant that we've innovated and we innovated really well, but that is our goal. So, hopefully we can really show that over time, and you will truly see how important this stuff is to us, and how much, we really want to knock it out of the park for everybody and for ourselves, create this world and ecosystem that is just really fun to be a part of. So yeah, just some extra thoughts from me, but we're paying attention to a lot of things, all the different blockchains, all the different approaches to how NFTs work, how tokens could work. And, we really just want to make sure that we're making the best decisions possible.
I agree. That's just a critical decision, right? So anytime that decision is made, it has to be timed correctly and perfectly suit our needs. So since all these blockchains change daily, weekly, monthly, we are grateful to have JT, Sam, and the rest on our MetaTheory team well ahead of all those trends and things, paying attention to make sure that we get the best available for our project. So much appreciated from all of you there. Switching topics, sort of, but not really. OmniGrow is a currency that we did create, but is not on chain. That is purely on our website, used originally for the egg experience as a way to level up your eggs. It was a way to get people to check out the visual novel, read the lore on the site, play Twilight Shift daily. OmniGrow did have a couple of hitches at launch, so it is still collecting OmniGrow, and Artyom had a question specifically about it. Will we ever repurpose OmniGrow? Is there a point to it still accumulating? And we've teased back in December that we are thinking of ways to use OmniGrow, so we have not made it defunct yet. We have not obsolesced it yet. Kristin and or Sam, if you have any light you can shine on OmniGrow and the future of it.
Sure. Yeah. So we know that lots of you have OmniGrow from the experience in hatching that you're very eager to use, and just want to remind everyone that you can still actually get this OmniGrow through simply holding a breaker, gribble or egg, and also pairing them, and also through our referral program. And as Josh said, this is something that we've been brainstorming ideas on. We've been thinking of fun and useful ways for this, so I'll pass it to Sam to share a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. So, a cool thing to me about OmniGrow is we kind of have this soft staking system, and I guess to define that, it's being able to reward users that are holding on to their breakers or their gribbles long term, but not necessarily forcing them to actually stake it in a contract, like at the blockchain level, but basically just seeing, hey, if you own this thing and you've linked it up to your DuskBreakers account on our website, then from our perspective, it's kind of staked with us and we can give you rewards through that. And so that's basically the primary method of OmniGrow distribution right now. You can just passively earn this OmniGrow by linking your breakers to your DuskBreakers account, and then you earn additional by having the gribbles paired with it, and also you're earning the OmniGrow for just having the gribbles as well. So they're each sort of bringing in this passively, and we have a very fun and exciting idea for OmniGrow that's been it's been mapped out now for a few months, and there's some technical scoping around it that we're still doing. We don't want to talk too much about this specific thing until we're positive that we can make it happen on the technical side. We are feeling pretty good about it overall, and I think it's just an exciting thing to hopefully be able to share with the community, and have it really be this long-running use case for OmniGrow that feels meaningful to everyone, and add some really interesting elements to NFTs as a whole, and in a way I personally haven't really seen much of in the NFT space so far, at least with this sort of specific use case that we have for it. So there's definitely a plan for it, and we are hoping to really iron out those final details soon. It's definitely a big part of what is happening internally for us right now. And then from there's lots of community feedback and things that we will want to hear from you guys, and just make sure that these sorts of pieces do feel meaningful, and hopefully expand on it even further. And we've tried to design some of these ideas in a way that they can be expanded on, and that can be something that we're all sort of working on together. But on the technical side, we're really just trying to be thoughtful about this stuff. And I know that it might seem like we're moving much slower than a lot of other teams, or maybe not getting some ideas out as quickly as we would all hope. But we always want to make sure that we are thinking through our longer term goals with things, and that just requires a really strong foundation. And the reality is, a lot of the projects in the space have sort of chosen to go the other way, where they're not paying too much attention about that foundation, and then they can get themselves in a position where it's really hard to now move into maybe a better idea that they have down the line because of some of those earlier decisions. So there's ideas that come up, and then there's a lot of internal discussion amongst the team, and those processes take time. And just figuring out everyone's skill set and where we can really take some of these things. And then when you have the addition of new team members and new ideas, which is very exciting. I mean, just the talent that continues to come into the team has been really fun to see. And I think everybody is looking forward to where these things will go. But it's also required us to just make sure that the ideas that we sort of currently have still make sense to pursue in the way that we had originally thought about them. And the reality is, some of these ideas have required small tweaks or changes to things in order to make sure it fits in better with everything else that we're trying to build. But long story short with OmniGrow is that, we definitely are excited about what its use case could be, and we're doing lots of research and exploration in how to make that happen. And hopefully it's something that we will be able to talk a lot more about in the near future.
Yeah, so OmniGrow not going anywhere just yet. Will have future use cases still being developed, T's crossed and I's dotted, etc., to make sure that it also has some longevity, and it does also have a strength of not being on blockchain. Gives us some versatility. We can use OmniGrow for basically whatever we want to design. So again, fast-moving creative team. OmniGrow could have a new use any week now. So obviously we'll be dropping all that news as we can, as with anything as far as dates, play tests, polls, anything like that. The announcements channel here on discord.gg/DuskBreakers is going to be the best source of direct news from our team, as well as the website, as we publish more synopses and summations of things on the website. So moving on from the topic of tokens and economies, we're now moving into partnerships, user acquisition, marketing. So this is more of the Kevin wheelhouse and myself. I just want to reemphasize, I have changed roles from community lead to marketing manager. So less time in Discord overall, more time speaking with partners directly. So we had a roster of over 30 partner projects last year that we are still in good connections with, and hope to obviously continue speaking with them. Have not spent a large marketing budget, as we do not have a marketable large-scale product yet, but I'll let Kevin now take over for 2023 with marketing and partnerships. What is your current feeling on all that?
Yeah, no, it is something that we are, frankly, we were just a bit behind on. I think we were a little, maybe overly careful on what we should reveal, when we should reveal it, just to not overdo it. But now we're sort of flipping our mindset there, because we now have a timeline for our game. Our content strategy is starting to feel very baked and intertwined with the game development and game release process. Everything's feeling really good. So we're looking for a head of marketing to help us helm this team. But we're going to lean into partners, influencers. And so we've been very fortunate. We have a lot of great partners from the last year, through the thick and thin, partnerships with with on-chain monkeys, Kaiju Kings, Crypto Walkers, Zoo Friends. The list goes on. Folks who have very similar mentality, similar philosophy to us. Wanting to build really big IPs that create true long-term value, and create really great engaging experiences alongside that, to give you some fun things to do, and to help explore and learn together what it means to build something on blockchain that is this deep and big. So I think that we're excited about. But yeah, we're revitalizing a lot of those partnerships, looking at a lot of different ways to integrate, but also just simply promote, share audience, share knowledge, share experience, and around any experiments we may run, any learnings we get from products that we release. And all the way down to technical decisions that we each make, and sort of the rationale as to why, because a lot of this stuff is new. Even building on another chain, Polygon, Solana, or whatever it may be, that's all really new tech. Somewhat battle tested, but in many ways not. And so just learning from each other, from a developer community, not just a NFT partnership community, best practices as much as we had those in the industry today. So that's exciting. And so far feedback's been good. We've been reaching out to partners, reaching out to influencers, reaching out to streamers, old friends, updating them on what we've been doing. And they love the approach. They think it's the games community on YouTube, Twitch, etc., which we know all too well, and they've supported us, through many things in life, have been very cautious around Web3. They don't really feel comfortable with it, and turns out they were right. These early experiments, unfortunately, largely failed. Again, nothing to do with the ability of the teams. They're all very smart teams. It's just it's tough because there is no blueprint. There's no history to lean on. So they're starting to get really excited about the approach that we're putting together, because it feels more like a sensible step it feels like it's something that they can easily communicate to their audience. And simply saying, hey, this is a game that, as you collect things, they're yours. They're yours forever, just like a card game in the physical world, just like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon. You get things, you keep them. If you churn out of the game for whatever reason or get tired of it, you can trade them. You can sell them to other people, recoup some of it, or you can keep it as a collectible, keep it to prove how vintage and cool you are in your 50s and 60s. And so that's been really exciting just to hear that feedback. And it's also been exciting to see a lot of partners, other projects sort of land on a lot of the same thinking. So it sort of validates, the long discussions we constantly have internally about what it is that it means to build a game on blockchain. So that's been fun. And so expect a lot of that. Expect a lot of not just game stuff, not just sort of content driven stuff, but other value we want to create for our holders outside of that, some things in the physical space. And so we'll be tapping our partners to create cool experiences and cool things that we can share with you.
Awesome. Good answer there. And I will use this as a sort of segue. I'll say that as far as partnerships, other projects, things like that, you as the community can always offer up any projects that you're fond of, or platforms that you use, things like that, in ideas and suggestions, or alpha channels here on Discord. We'll definitely take a look. I know that Tradesgiving is a member of our Discord who often drops alpha related to NFT games, and I've clicked his links many times and checked out a bunch of projects. So definitely more discussion here on Discord can lead us to finding some more appropriate fits. And that kind of segues into a question directed toward Kristin, now as the community de facto lead here, from John Doe. What does the team expect from the community, and how can they help? And I mean, sharing, introduce us to your friends is the first thing, but as far as partnerships. But Kristin, go ahead with how the community can help us out.
Yeah, thank you. I think the biggest thing is just feedback. Testing things for us, feedback, sharing ideas. Please share that in the ideas and suggestion channel. Also, just thank you to everyone who participated in our survey, and also user research. We'll have a lot more of that coming. And I think, as Joshua said, just hype. Anytime we, share something on social media, a like, comment, and share go a long way. And then also emphasizing, just sharing about us with friends who would be excited about DuskBreakers and add to our community. We're gonna lean in a lot more here this year. So just keep an eye on Discord, and we'll definitely be asking for more help and engagement. And just, thank you for being along for the ride and everything you've done for us and with us so far. We really, really appreciate all of the feedback.
Yeah, and she's talking directly to all of you in this audience right now, because you are the front line, so to speak, our most avid holders and supporters. So thank you, everyone, for listening here to our first community AMA of the year. There will be another one tomorrow, and we're also recording this one. So that is basically all the canned questions that we had from AMA chat over the last week for this group. Tomorrow we'll have a different group of people, including Bernie, to talk about some more content-related things, and Adam, and Steven will be back. So Kevin also will be there, and will likely be repeating some of the answers from today's, but different audience, different time, international audience, all that stuff. So we are going to now switch to live Q&A. If anyone does have a question for someone on the panel here, anything that stuck out to them from what was said, we'll give you just a minute. In order to do that on Discord, I believe you just request to speak, and then I can see a hand go up, but we'll leave you just a minute for that. Kevin, anything, let's assume we don't get any new questions, anything you would want to have a departing message here for everyone?
No, I mean, just reiterate, really repeat what Kristin said. It's been super awesome. We've learned so much from y'all. Really appreciate the support. Games do take time. It is a very different process from making software, but we're learning quickly. We really hired a truly amazing team, and just excited to get stuff out there. Get your hands on it. Get your feedback. We promise to listen, we promise to iterate, we promise to move quickly, and start to really build that utility value that everyone talks about. And so we're very, very excited, very grateful to all of you who have supported us, and all of you for bringing friends in, telling people about us. That's super helpful. We look forward to engaging with you in all aspects in Discord and Twitter, and also through all the fun interactive things that we're going to be releasing in the very near future. So much appreciated, and Happy New Year.
All right. I did see one more question come in from Meet Delu in the AMA chat, and it was kind of going back toward partnerships a little bit here. He mentioned that a while back DuskBreakers teased an arcade collab. Is there anything still planned for that? And then he kind of brings up Pixels as another project where a lot of DuskBreakers holders have been participating throughout the year, and he was curious if we might reach out to them or other projects like that that have sort of land/territory. I'm picturing like digital billboard style now, where you might be in Pixels and see a DuskBreaker NFT or something like that. Arcade, the design essentially was a pixelated DuskBreaker that could be played in their mini games. So, Kevin, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we are nothing to report just yet that we could talk about. We're re-engaging with everybody this year after the holiday. A lot of that's tough. A lot of the interoperability is tough. Just like creating the art, it really takes a lot of time for everyone to be fully represented for their breakers in other worlds. That is a core, interesting thing around what we're all trying to build in Web3. In practice, technically, it is very difficult to do. Graphically, it's very difficult to do. But we're in talks with them. Arcade is just down the street from us here in Taipei. Seeing Willie, their founder, in the near future to just talk about what it is that we can do, and then get y'all some updates on where they're at and how we're thinking about working together as partners. And Ditto Pixels, just have to catch up with them and see where things are. A lot of people took a little bit of a pause to think after all that's happened in the space, and so now everyone's you could tell the energy's back. Everyone's ready to go, and so we just got to take the time to really think now, in this changed environment, constant changing environment, what it is that we could do together. But we do plan to engage much more deeply with projects like that. Same mentality again, similar philosophy, and yeah, we're excited to see what we can do together. Given all the various things we're working towards.
Great, cool. I don't see any hands up, no burning questions from the audience at the moment. So what I will do to close the AMA is get parting words from our featured guests, Dave, JT, and Kristin as well, and then we can wrap this up. So Dave, thank you very much for shedding some light on the grand narrative. And is there anything else you would like to leave our lovely holders with before we go today?
Thanks so much for your time, for listening to us go on and on about stuff. It's always really exciting to be able to talk to everybody. I would say I'm going to continue with my New Year's resolution to hang out in Discord constantly. I'm not like a big social media guy, so it's a bit of a stretch for me, but I'm actually enjoying this very much. Please continue to hit me with questions, requests for concept art, anything, and I will continue to drop that as we develop it, and hopefully keep delivering interesting things for everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you. And JT, same deal. Thank you for being on the show today. Anything you'd like to leave our holders with?
Yeah, I mean, reiterating what Dave said, thank you very much for sitting in and listening. Hopefully we've given you a sense of how we think about the space and our general excitement to build and develop and create with you. And our goal is to continue to create awesome and amazing experiences over the course of this year. We're super excited to get everything created and get it into everyone's hands and all have fun together. So, big shout outs to everybody that's listened and submitted questions, and just know that we super appreciate the feedback and, are always there to listen and appreciate you all.
Excellent. And finally, Kristin, thank you for joining us this morning, early morning for you. And anything you'd like to say before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you again to all of you, tuning in live, and everyone who will be watching the recording and who's part of our community for being here, and just for all of your feedback so far. And also shout out to all those who asked us great questions so that we could prep for this AMA. I'm almost my 6 months here, and it's just been such an exciting journey. It's been so fun to lead product and now community at Meta Theory. So my ask is just, please keep the feedback coming. Let us know what you think and how we can do better, and keep an eye out for more surveys and user research, interviews, etc. And we'll have a lot of kind of fun upcoming events that we're brainstorming for the year. So I'm just excited to spend more time and get to know all of you.
Excellent. All right. So that's going to do about it for AMA number 1. We do have another one tomorrow that is at Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, and that's at midnight GMT. So hitting some different time zones, some different audience there. But we will also have Steven returning tomorrow. Bernie Sue, our content lead, will be sharing a lot about his plans for the year. And sorry, who else am I forgetting? Kevin, of course, will be back.
AB,
yes, there he is. He's in the audience right there. Adam Bao will be on, one of the founders, to talk more about business and company and things that are way over my head. So definitely will be good to get some answers from Adam as well. So thank you again to all of the holders here in the live audience. I appreciate you, all the DuskBreakers team and Meta Theory team that showed up to listen in as well. Thanks for hanging out. And obviously, I want to encourage everyone to head into general chat and discuss as often as you like. Tag us, mention us if you've got questions outside of this AMA. You can leave more AMA questions in AMA chat for tomorrow's bunch, and we do have that Discord event as well that you can RSVP. So that will do it. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking your time and joining us today for all those great discussion points on DuskBreakers past, present, and future. The recording seems to be going well, so I should have it uploaded here within just a couple of hours for anyone who missed part of it or wants to check it out later on. So we'll probably also do a summary in line with tweets or a Discord announcement, blog post, something like that. So we'll make sure we get the juicy bits to everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day or night, and we'll see you in Discord and on twitter.com/DuskBreakers. Thanks so much, and see you tomorrow.